Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases. Have you ever used a perfectly correct English word in a meeting, but, you still felt like you said it like a walking textbook instead of a real person?
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time.
Yeah, right. So today, we are bridging that gap. We're pulling our material from a really fantastic SpeakDuo lesson. And hey, if you want to put what you learned today into actual practice, just go to SpeakDuo.com.
It's a great tool.
It really is. You can meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls, just to become more confident in their speaking abilities.
Yeah, but let's skip any long preamble. The mission today is clear, and this deep dive is exclusively for advanced English learners.
Exclusively.
Right. Our goal today is to master 14 highly nuanced idioms from those classic A Bit of Fry and Laurie sketches. We're focusing specifically on how they differ from basic synonyms and how you can deploy them in high-level workplace conversations or your IELTS Speaking Part 2 responses.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with how we process information and, I guess, accept or reject ideas in a professional setting.
A very crucial skill.
Definitely. So the first phrase is to buy into something, which basically means to completely believe, accept, or support a specific idea. But let me push back on this for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If I use buy into in an IELTS exam or talking to my boss, am I just going to sound like some cheesy middle manager using corporate jargon?
No, I get why you'd think that, but that's a very fair concern. But no, you won't. The nuance here is all about active investment.
Active investment.
Yeah, that's why it transcends cheap jargon. When you simply agree with something, it's passive. You just nod your head and move on. But when you buy into it, you're putting skin in the game.
Oh, I see. So imagine a conversation with your boss.
Right.
You wouldn't just say you disagree with the change.
Right.
You might say, you refuse to buy into the new team schedule or the new method until you actually see concrete data on how it improves results.
Exactly. Saying, I bought into the team method after seeing the data sounds way more professional than just, I agree. Which naturally leads us to our next concept, to add up.
To add up, meaning to make perfect logical sense or seem completely reasonable.
Right.
Now, I always feel like I'm playing a detective when I hear this one. Because if something is incorrect, we usually just say it's wrong.
Yeah, wrong is very definitive.
But saying something doesn't add up feels far more suspicious, doesn't it? Like you're questioning the whole story.
It absolutely does carry suspicion. That's the key difference between to add up and just to make sense. It has this investigative, almost forensic nuance.
Interesting.
And because of that, it's very frequently used in the negative.
Like a workplace example where a colleague gives you some wild excuse for why a project is late.
Oh, we've all heard those.
Right. You wouldn't outright say they're lying. You'd say his explanation just didn't add up. And that naturally prompts you to go check the records or, ask for receipts to find the truth.
Exactly. You're doing the math in your head and the equation is failing. But what about when we completely check out?
Check out.
Yeah, which brings us to phrase 3, to be miles away. This means to be completely lost in thought and unaware of your surroundings.
Oh, man, this one is incredibly relatable. But I want to be crystal clear for the listener. How does being miles away differ from just being distracted?
Good question. It really comes down to mental versus physical presence. If you're distracted, you're usually actively engaging with something else.
Like checking your phone.
Right, or watching a bird outside. Being miles away is a dreamy, internal, totally detached state. You're sitting in the chair, but your consciousness is literally miles away.
That makes it perfect for an IELTS Part 2 prompt about a time you lost focus.
Oh, definitely.
You could describe being in this dense, late afternoon meeting or university lecture and confessing that you were miles away thinking about dinner. And because of that, you completely missed an important point.
It paints a wonderful visual. Now, building on that workplace mindset, let's look at how we deal with challenges and the emotional toll of stress.
The heavy stuff.
Exactly. Crucial for advanced storytelling. So phrase 4 is the University of Hard Knocks. This means life experiences and hardships that teach valuable lessons.
I do love the imagery there. But how does this elevate my vocabulary beyond just saying I have, street smarts?
Well, street smarts is just the practical knowledge you possess right now, but the University of Hard Knocks focuses on the process of suffering.
The process.
Yeah, the setbacks are acting as your teacher.
Ah, I see. So going back to an IELTS Speaking Part 2 scenario where you have to describe overcoming a challenge.
A very common prompt.
Right, you could explain how losing a job taught you real resilience. And that experience was your education from the University of Hard Knocks.
Exactly. It shows a really sophisticated grasp of metaphorical English. Now, while you're at that university, you have to endure things. Phrase 5 is to put up with something.
Meaning to patiently tolerate a highly annoying or unpleasant situation.
Us.
But wait, how is this different from just saying you accepted something?
It's the underlying transaction. You can accept a gift, which is positive, but to put up with implies you are enduring something persistently negative for a greater payoff.
Like telling a colleague how you put up with a terrible 2-hour commute for 2 years or super loud construction simply because the job was worth it.
Right. You tolerated the pain for the reward,
Yeah.
but that endurance takes a toll, which brings us to phrase 6. To be knotted up.
Meaning to feel extremely tense or highly anxious due to stress.
Yes, very intense stress.
The analogy here is so visceral. I picture this physical tangled rope sitting right in your stomach.
Sure.
But contrast this with just being nervous for us,
Sure. Being nervous is just a baseline emotional state. You might have butterflies.
which can also be exciting sometimes.
Exactly. But to be knotted up is a highly physical, painful reaction. It's deeply uncomfortable.
So you could describe to a colleague how your stomach gets completely knotted up before giving big presentations because you worry about stumbling over your words.
Spot on. Now, sometimes that stress forces you to stop. Phrase 7 is to take an early shower, meaning to quit, fail, or be forced to leave an activity prematurely.
It's interesting. Usually we just say someone gave up,
True.
but taking an early shower feels like a sudden forced exit, right? Not just a loss of willpower.
That is a brilliant distinction. It comes from sports, where an injured player is sent to the locker room to shower while the game goes on.
So an anecdote about a team-building event where you twisted an ankle halfway through a race and you had to take an early shower. You didn't want to quit, but you had to.
Precisely. All right, let's shift to our actions giving up messing around searching. Phrase 8 is to give in to something, to stop resisting and surrender to a temptation.
A daily battle for all of us.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the key here is that giving in requires prior resistance.
Prior resistance.
Yeah, it's different from just choosing something.
So if I've been trying to avoid sweets all week, and then on Friday I crack, I gave in to the chocolate.
Right.
Or I planned to cook, but I gave in to ordering takeout last night.
Exactly. You resisted first. Now, speaking of bad habits, phrase 9 is to muck around, to waste valuable time doing absolutely nothing useful.
Okay, but how does this differ from just relaxing?
Well, when you relax, you're purposefully resting. Mucking around implies unstructured time wasting when you perhaps should be doing something else.
Oh, it's the ultimate workplace confession.
Right.
Confessing to your boss that instead of finishing your reports, you mucked around at the cafe wandering the neighborhood.
We've all been there. But eventually we have to try something new. Phrase 10 is to try one's hand at something, attempting a brand new activity for the first time.
Why not just say starting a new hobby?
Because it's way more tentative and experimental.
Like testing the waters.
Ex-
So, an IELTS Part 2 answer about future plans. You could say you want to try your hand at gardening to grow tomatoes or woodworking to make a small table.
Perfect. Now, phrase 11, to pound the streets, meaning to walk extensively around a city searching for something.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Pounding the streets sounds so physically exhausting compared to just looking around.
It is entirely different. Looking around is casual. Pounding the streets is a relentless, exhausting, determined search.
So, describing the grueling period after getting a degree where you pounded the streets all summer searching for a first job or looking for a good apartment.
Yes, it conveys pure determination. All right, final section. Negativity, defeat, and finality. Phrase 12, to cast a shadow over something, to completely ruin a happy moment or create negativity.
Why say this instead of just saying an event was ruined?
Because it's an atmospheric shift. The event is still happening, people are there, but the mood has darkened.
Like bad news or a sudden argument that cast a shadow over a joyful birthday dinner.
Beautifully explained. Now, phrase 13 is to rub something in someone's face, to cruelly remind someone of their failure or your success.
So worse than just boasting.
Much worse. Rubbing it in is specifically targeted, cruel, and creates toxic environments.
Like a workplace dispute where a colleague won a promotion and didn't stay humble, constantly rubbing it in your face
Yeah.
right after you missed a deadline.
Very toxic. And our final phrase, phrase 14, is stone dead. Completely lifeless, unresponsive, or lacking any signs of activity.
Contrast this with broken.
A broken clock still ticks incorrectly. Stone dead means absolutely zero power or response.
So a frantic morning where you find your laptop or an old radio stone dead, and you have to borrow a charger or replace batteries just to start it.
It's the ultimate state of unresponsiveness.
All right, wow. Well, it is time for the masterclass quiz to test your retention.
Let's do it.
I am going to read the questions, and the options will be announced as option A, option B, and option C. I'll make sure to repeat the relevant phrase frequently so you know what we are guessing.
And hey, feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Good point.
Okay.
Question 1. Which sentence uses the idiomatic phrase to buy into something correctly based on context? Again, looking for the correct use of to buy into something. Option A. The professional retail store purchasing clerk was instructed to buy into something for the seasonal inventory order. Option B. The deeply frustrated young retail clerk aggressively managed to completely drop a white line. Option C. Even though the new corporate restructuring plan was heavily promoted, the employees refused to buy into it without seeing concrete data.
And the correct answer is option C. Just a quick reminder of our workplace example, refusing to buy into a new team schedule or method until seeing the concrete data.
Exactly. Question 2. Select the context where the phrase to add up is most appropriately used figuratively. Option A. His alibi regarding where he was during the security breach simply didn't add up, prompting investigators to question him further. Option B. The professional primary school math teacher was instructed to add up the numbers on the blackboard during the arithmetic lesson. Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly buy some large systems.
The answer there is option A. Remember the investigative nuance, like when a colleague's excuse or story didn't add up, prompting you to check the receipts.
Right. Okay, question 3. In which situation does someone accurately utilize the advanced phrase, the University of Hard Knocks contextually? Option A. The professional academic admissions officer was instructed to enroll the student in the University of Hard Knocks for the fall semester. Option B. Having built his business from scratch after multiple bankruptcies, he often joked that he graduated from the University of Hard Knocks. Option C. The completely terrified young wilderness traveler unexpectedly noticed an exceptionally massive, heavy tool chest.
And the answer is option B. Think back to the IELTS speaking example about overcoming a challenge, where losing a job taught you resilience from the University of Hard Knocks.
Beautiful. Question 4. Which response best demonstrates the advanced phrase to cast a shadow over something figuratively? Option A. The sudden revelation of financial irregularities casts a dark shadow over what should have been a celebratory product launch anniversary. Option B. The professional architectural lighting designer was instructed to cast a shadow over something in the courtyard model. Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly catch that white balance. The correct answer is option A, just like the example of a sudden argument casting a shadow over a joyful birthday dinner. Halfway there. Question 5. How would professional accurately use the phrase to give into something contextually? The phrase is to give in to something. Option A. The professional charity donation coordinator was instructed to give into something at the collection desk. Option B. The completely confused amateur theater group unexpectedly decided to proudly paint a clean frame. Option C. After resisting the temptation all week, she finally gave in to the cravings and ordered a large dessert.
The answer is option C, because giving in requires prior resistance, like trying to avoid sweets but finally giving in to the chocolate or ordering takeout.
Spot on. Question 6. Which scenario perfectly illustrates the meaning of the phrase, to rub something in someone's face, contextually? Option A. The professional facial cosmetics esthetician was instructed to rub something in someone's face during the skincare treatment. Option B. Even though he won the promotion fairly, he continued to rub it in his colleague's face, making the office environment quite toxic. Option C. The incredibly clumsy hotel maintenance worker accidentally managed to completely drop that red tray.
That would be option B. It's that cruel, targeted boasting, like a colleague not staying humble and rubbing their promotion in your face right after you missed a deadline.
Yeah, nobody likes that guy. Question 7. Which sentence accurately utilizes the advanced phrase to pound the streets contextually? Option A. For 3 straight weeks after graduation, she pounded the streets of downtown looking for entry-level marketing positions. Option B. The professional road construction paving crew was instructed to pound the streets with heavy machinery during the repair work. Option C. The deeply confused young kitchen assistant accidentally managed to quickly slice a fresh piece of streets.
The answer is option A. Pounding the streets is that grueling physical search, like looking all summer for a first job or a good apartment.
Okay, final question. Question 8. Which of the following statements correctly uses stone dead figuratively? Option A. The professional geologic. Option B. The old radio was completely stone dead until I finally replaced the batteries. Option C. The construction worker carried a heavy stone dead to the new building site.
The answer is option B. Just like finding your laptop or an old radio stone dead in the morning, requiring a charger or batteries because it has absolutely zero power.
So what does this all mean?
Well, I think it means that English idioms aren't just a test of memory, They are actually a window into cultural psychology.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, just think about how phrases like adding up reveal a deeply human desire to apply mathematical certainty to the messy unpredictability of human behavior.
That is a great final thought for our listeners to mull over. Well, keep practicing these phrases so you don't get knotted up during your next English conversation. See you next time.